And last but not least, let's talk about Werewolf by Night, right? So this is the, well, technically first TV special, first holiday themed TV special from Marvel Studios. And actually, I believe we're supposed to be getting that Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special this year. I can't wait for this. I can't wait, right? But yeah, and well, it centers on a character that it's a funny thing, right? So, with my at a point in time collection of ET's comic books, right? ET's Marvel comics, right? I'd always, hear, always see the Werewolf by Night character, right? But I never owned any of those books and never read them, right? But I just always kind of saw them like, oh, it's part of, like I just always thought it was just some product of, ET's comic books, right? But I just kind of took that as it is, right? So when the trailer for this dropped, no, I was like, okay, we're doing this, all right. But what really drew me in, though, was the grindhousey style of that trailer, right? It's harkening back to 70s slasher trailers, and just the look of it just has that feel of watching like a Universal horror, feature from like the 40s and 50s, right? So that was the sell for me with that film, right? So I'll just do the synopsis to this, right? So the premise is pretty simple, right? We have these monster hunters, and they all brought together one night, to celebrate more or less to acknowledge the passing of Ulysses Bloodstone, right? This world renowned monster hunter, right? And they're pretty much given the task via his wife.
And by his corpse.
Yes, and by his corpse in a nice little twist, which caught me completely by surprise. That whole robotic thing that they do, that was cool, right?
It's a real Disney animatronics.
Yes. You're right.
That was great. Well, I was thinking about this because, like, you a lot of people made the comparison to Universal, and I actually disagree. It reminds me a lot more of like, this is going to be a deep cut, but it reminds me more of like William Castle's black and white horror movies of the 50s, the kind of like very like haunted house, slightly gimmicky, but like a lot of fun. Like things like House on Haunted Hill with Vincent Price or The Tingler,
right.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Like the guy, Joe Dante homaged the guy when he made Matinee, like very much that kind of vibe where it's
right.
like it's less
more like Dark Shadows.
That
look, that aesthetic,
With
such a Universal in there, definitely, but yeah.
Especially the use of like, I feel like the most Universal part of the movie is its use of light and shadows in particular. Definitely.
Oh yes, indeed. Right. So so basically, Ulysses left this we call it this medallion, if you will. So it's called the Bloodstone, right? Yeah. And yes, right. and it's just a simple setup. It's just like, well, you're in this this area, you have to hunt this particular monster, and whoever kills the monster first will get that, right? But much to my surprise, though, because we it's not even said in the trailer. And by the way, folks, we gotta get into spoilers, right? One of the surprises for me watching this, right, is that one of the hunters was actually Jack Russell, right? Who's played by Gael Garcia Bernal, right? Great actor in my opinion, right? I mean, I've more or less been familiar with him from since Morris Perros and Babel, sorry, just those films and on one, right? But great casting here, right? He's one of the monster hunters, right? So I was like, okay, so he kind of aware of what's going on, but for me going in, I thought that he was gonna like sabotage them and like kill them off or whatnot, because I'm thinking that he's just gonna be this rampaging werewolf that is gonna kill all these monster hunters, but that's like, I mean, it makes no sense, right? And that's where they bring the character of Man-Thing, right? Which, like, I kind of glimpsed at, like, while I was scrolling through, Facebook or whatnot, but I didn't want to know anything beyond that. And yes, he is there, and it's a delight seeing him there. I'm not familiar with the character at all. I just kind of know him, again, through the 80s Marvel books, right? But yeah, essentially, we just have these hunters hunting now Man-Thing now, and then, well, through some way, shape, or form, Jack kind of gets more involved in this whole hunt, and then later on he eventually becomes the titular werewolf, right? And I'll stop here, right? So just thoughts on this special as a whole, right? I enjoyed it for what it was, man. But I will say for me though, it does feel, and this is not a gripe for me, right? Well, it's kind of a gripe, but kind of a compliment at the same time too. this kind of feels like a pilot. This feels like a
Yes.
pilot to a really promising TV show that a show that I would love to see very soon, right? Why I say it does feel like a pilot is, and this is like one of my gripes with this though, the weight in terms of Jack becoming the werewolf, right? Now on paper I understand, right? It's all about the build up. It's all about, all right, he's gonna become this thing, right? And then when he becomes it, it's glorious, right? But
Yes.
if you look at it as a pilot episode, yes, that sort of like story structure make a lot of sense. Where you're not gonna see the monster soon enough. Being I like that they do this. I love that the show does this fake out where, okay, you're thinking that the initially that these monster hunters going to hunt Jack, but eventually, well, they actually learn that it's man thing that they hunted at first, right? So I like that, right? But still, in terms of the structure itself and how we have to wait a while for Jack to become the werewolf, yeah, it does have a sort of a pilot feel to it. Also, too, I felt we could have gotten a little bit more character development to him, right? Because he has a sort of a kind of a quirky personality to him, and it's not too Marvel, but you can kind of look at it as, yeah, it's kind of like a Marvel version, what I mean, like an MCU version of how the character would be, I guess. But yeah, I know there's a lot more to the character than we see here, but I felt like, because you don't get too much, or sorry, you don't get enough of it, just a little bit more, in my opinion. Yeah, it kind of feels like, in the next episode you'll get a little bit more backstory into how Jack became the werewolf and so on and so forth. It kind of feels like that, right? Where the show shines, however, though, is the look. Though they nail that look very, very well. That sort of circa 40s, 50s old school visuals. They nail that very well, right? And it's not just slapping on a grayscale filter. It's not that, but
Yes.
it's the lighting and the as you say, CC, the shadow and whatnot. They do that very, very well, right? Also points for the although this is in post, right? The kind of blink and you miss it, or if you squint properly, you'll see it. The little bit of green that they have, what I mean? I like that. Also love the inclusion of cigarette burns here or there. I love that. They actually do it twice I believe it's twice or three times in the show they did that, right? I like that, right? Also performances across the aboard, great, right? It's a small cast, which actually surprised me, right? It's a fairly small, cast of actors that they got there, right?
Yeah.
But everybody do their thing, man. I saw people had an issue with Laura Donnelly's, depiction of Elsa Bloodstone, but because I'm not familiar with Elsa, I can't really see.
I don't know what to measure from.
Yeah, but I hear people saying, well, that's not how Elsa is in the comics. And there's more to it than that.
Why? How are we not used to this by
don't
now?
Yeah, enough.
We've had so much comic book fiction. Like, come on. At what point, like, are there seriously people out there who are like, this one's going to be an exact carbon copy of their character from the comics?
Yeah.
It's like, come on. Every time we go through the same controversy.
Yeah, like I think Elsa's supposed to be like, wielding swords. Well, she does it here in this, right? But she's supposed to be more of a sword, more of a monster hunter here than she is. Like, I don't know what it is, right? But yeah, people had issues. I didn't really know. I thought that she was fine, right? And I do like the side characters as well too. Especially that one black guy who was just there.
Discount Blade.
Yes, I know that was.
Here's the thing with that. Here's the thing with that, right? She-Hulk also had a black
Yes.
kind of vampire character as well. So
Yes,
it's like
yes,
they
correct.
lead it up to the
Everybody
Blade
thought that was Blade's kid or something.
I
Right.
think they're messing
Like-
with people at this point in time. I feel
It's
like
like,
they're doing
we
it
want-
on purpose.
Yeah.
We want Blade. No, we have Blade at home.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah, but I just like the fact that the man was American. That will catch me by surprise, because in a setting like this, in a story like this, you think that they're gonna be all European and whatnot, but now this guy is American. I just thought that was pretty funny, right? The music, right? And I have to talk about direction as well too, because the guy who does the music also directs is Michael Giacchino, right? If I got the surname wrong, forgive me, right? I just love the fact that a veteran composer just wake up and say, you know what? I working on these MCU films for a hot minute, and I want to direct some now.
I can do
Let
one.
me direct some now, please.
I can do one.
I can do one, yeah.
like I did the score for Doctor Strange, y'all. Like come on, let me
Well,
do
I mean-
something.
Well, and he clearly had a blast doing the score for Doctor Strange. Like Doctor Strange score is one of the more memorable of the
Yeah.
Marvel movies
Yeah.
musically, which is great.
Agreed. Yeah, yeah. I also love like the use of like psychedelic rock that they include in that soundtrack, by the way, right? But yeah, yeah, I thought that Michael did a really great job here, man. He really did shine, right? Also in terms of the directing aspect, right? The music is very, horror movie, inspired. I really dug that. Also because I don't know, because I just love the score for this movie so much. I love the Bram Stoker's Dracula worship that they do here. So basically, they use the theme song here, and he does like a kind of spin on it. It's not exactly, but I did notice on the horns, right? If you remember the theme song for Bram Stoker's Dracula, there's a moment where like the horns just hitting this crescendo, they just keep hitting it to the point like it just feels like it's like like fire and brimstone. You know what I mean? But I just love that he does sort of a take on that in his score for this, right? Just a couple more things. Gael Garcia Bernal as Jack. I thought that he was great in this though. I must say, but again, I just wish that there was a little bit more to his character than he's just kind of not. He's kind of abnormal. He's not like everybody else, and he's he has he kind of acts as if I'm like I try to do the right thing, I trying to free my friend man thing, and I trying to help out, but I kind of don't want people to know that when the full moon shows up, I'm this rampaging werewolf, right? So he does that well, right? But again, I just wish that there's a bit more character development to him, right? And lastly, this is the one thing that people will touch on a lot though, the violence, the kills in this, right?
Yeah.
I was surprised.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite effective, I must say, right? Yes. They really go out the way, it's still TV 14 level violence, guys, right? So I would say going in, don't expect a bloodbath. You're not gonna get that with this, right? Yeah. But I will say though, like I understand it's Marvel Studios, right? But there were moments like when an attack happened, like when somebody actually gets hit, right? Where they will kind of show it for like about a few seconds and they will just cut to another scene or another angle. They kind of did that a few times during the third act though, where a character, like, for example, might get like a sword to the head and it'll just kind of happen, boom.
Yeah.
You'll see for like a couple seconds and then it cuts. But there is one kill where somebody gets killed like that now, and you see it, and they do the cut now, and then they go back to that character literally falling on the floor now with that blade to the head. I like that, right?
Yeah.
Also points for that long take where it's just basically, the werewolf just killing all the soldiers, and you just see like these blood. Well, it's fake blood, whatever, right? But it's just it stays on the camera and it's just staying there while this door is closing. I like that. That was really cool, right? So yes, you could tell they work around the rating. You know what I mean? They don't want to make it too bloody and whatnot, right? But they make it work for what it is, right? And in closing though, I will say that if you're going expecting this thing to be like this super scary film, you will be utterly disappointed. For me, it's not that scary, right? But in terms of like a mood setter, like, all right, this is Halloween. I just kind of want to watch something on, well, I don't know, on like a cold October day or night when, I just want to watch something a little bit spooky. You put this on and you watch it and you have fun with it, right? But in no way is this thing like this, ultra scary movie that's gonna just like scare the pants off of people, right? It's a loving homage to horror films, and it does that very well. Also, just lastly before I get to rate it, I do like I can't call it a post-credit scene, but you see it involving Jack and Man thing. That was cool. I like that. I like that.
Ted.
Sorry?
I said he likes to be called Ted. So.
Yeah, he likes to be called Ted. Yes, you're right.
So
and I love how it goes to color in that section, and also in terms of just post-production, that nice bit of color correction there, it looks kind of technicolor, kind of.
Oh yeah, well, and the needle drop they use to guide us into the color change is amazing. Yes. Like it's like that particular song is one that I've grown tired of hearing in movies because it always gets used ironically. But that one with the color change is like, okay.
Of course, Judy Garland, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, right? And if you remember that film, it's going from color, well, not really color, but from not really black and white, but more kind of beige, kind of.
But it's interesting that it seemed to be like a plot device itself, like that. It does that because it was the only thing that had color before. That was interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the only thing
and
the
the
only
thing,
thing that really did have color was the bloodstone. Yeah.
Right.
and that's the thing, and it felt intentional. That was the thing that I really liked about it. It felt like an intentional, creative visual decision. Was okay. The one thing that's going to have color is the bloodstone, and when our protagonist finally gets the bloodstone, it will cause this transition from black and white to color, and we'll use this particular song to guide us through. It's like, oh,
Right.
that's a
Yeah.
really intentional, creative, stylistic choice.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So just to wrap things up, I enjoyed this, man. This was pretty decent for what it was, man. Michael Giacchino has a future in terms of this, though. I think that he will, just continue to hone on his craft through these MCU films. I assume so, maybe. And then maybe when he's ready, he could go out into the mainstream, if you will, and make some like really big budget films and be able to score them as well too. Like that is really awesome, Dre. That you could direct and score your own films, Dre. That's the kind of thing that people like me want to do, right? So yeah. But yeah, rating wise, I'm gonna give this a strong 3.5 out of 5, man. This is worth checking out, man. But I will say, don't go into this thing expecting this thing to be super scary, because it isn't. It's just this love letter to horror, to old school horror films, and also to this might be make or break for you, but yeah, it does really feel like a pilot episode. But I really would like to see more of this character. I really would, if anything, we could get like a nice little mini series. You know what I mean? Who knows? I mean, a la like like a Moon Knight. It's just some little mini series just to build on this character even more, man. Because I could tell there's a lot more that could be told, more story that we could get out of this character here of Jack Russell, man. But yeah, for what it is, I enjoyed it, man. For what it was, man. So Ricardo, your thoughts on this film here and Return?
Amoris Perros indeed. It really worked. I didn't expect to enjoy this as much as it was. Bernal. Okay, so I always had Gael Garcia Bernal as on my shortlist to play Doctor Strange long time ago. He's somebody that should have entered the MCU a lot earlier, and I really enjoyed that they bring him in. He really held it together, and they really made it work. As I say, Amoris Perros indeed. His name is Jack Russell, which is hilarious. I just really enjoyed it. The back and forth on this. It's short, it's sweet. They make it work for what it is. As I say, yeah, it's a pilot. It really works. It's a perfect compromise when it comes to violence. Like the MCU has always been reasonably tepid on violence, for obvious reasons. But this is a great compromise, right? It does the classic horror movie tropes of violence and approach, and it's very corny, obvious fake hands and prosthetics and that kind of stuff, right? But they really make it fun, and it works for what it is. I only had one slight small nitpick, not a big thing, and we mentioned we talk about Blade 1, but Blade 2, the group of the vampire hunters really felt like the blood plot from Blade 2, in my opinion. That's how it worked in that conceit. And I had a ton of fun in it. Another small thing was the whole intro sequence they did, which seems like the CBS Saturday night, special thing that bongo was playing. That is what was funny about that. It's like, okay, they're really catering to the classic stuff, Hollywood special, holiday special stuff now. And yeah, I can't be mad at any of that. But yeah, I really had a lot of fun with this. As I said, only small problem was the extra, all the other vampire hunters. I thought those guys, I wanted to see more powers from them. I wanted to see their abilities and stuff. Yeah, I wanted just more interaction and more back and forth. Like
considering the actors that they brought in.
Right.
These are people who have background in doing more. You had like Carrie Jones and most recognizable for me was Eugene Bondurant as Azrael.
Okay.
She just showed up in she was the villain in the last Conjuring movie, The Devil Made Me Do It.
Right. It had one person who basically looked like a Wraith from Stargate Atlantis, the Wraith Queen. I can't remember who this person was, but I was like, who's this person? Because they don't look like they don't look like generic. They don't like generic hunters now. They look like
they have a lot of personality visually.
Yeah, it's a lot of great looks and things. So I was like, we clearly gonna get more with this.
I agree. I definitely felt like one of the weaker parts of it was that, like, especially since they spend the whole opening explaining how powerful and badass all these other hunters are and how many kills they've had, and then they're disposed rather easily.
Yeah.
And the weapons also, I didn't feel like I know the whole idea was, okay, we're gonna put them in this hunt, and only the weapons that you find in the maze you can use. But as you guys said, they were so distinctive looking that it would have been nice to see them all do their own thing.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed this for what it was. Very, very few issues. Other than that, no major problems. Again, Bernal really holds it. Like I really enjoyed this performance. Yeah. Oh, so like I went into this as blind as I can because I didn't know he was in this. I'm like, oh shit. Like when he shows up, I was like, oh shit, he is nice.
Yeah.
And I was just thoroughly enjoying it for what it is. What else? Again, the classical aesthetic and look. Can't be mad at any of that. None of that I had any issues with or problems with going forward as it is. It's just Marvel just doing something really, really interesting. And what's his name? Michael Giacchino. He just does a great job with the material. Like again, his specialty shines because all the needle drops and moments of, oh right, this is the horror moment, and it just perfectly applied. It clearly his skill set transfers excellently for this type of material. And I really want to see, to be honest, I really want to see more, of him making effort and doing some interesting stuff as it is.
Right.
Yeah, rating. I give it like a 8 out of 10, but closer to a 7 to be honest. Again, if it was a little longer and they could make it a little more fleshed out, a little more connective tissue. But yeah, it is as a special. It's perfect. It's exactly what it needed to be. But yeah, so yeah, 8 out of 10, low 8 out of 10. But yeah, I dug it. I really appreciated for what it was and what they were trying to do. And look, you can't complain and say Marvel don't do something different. Yeah. This is different. This is interesting. Yeah. This is a nice take on the material. I can't be mad at any of this. Yeah, 8 out of 10.
All right, Summer, your thoughts on Werewolf by Night and Ritalin?
Well, it goes right into what Ricardo was saying there. The first thing that really struck me, a couple of things is like Ricardo, I went into this blind. I deliberately went into this blind. Yeah. I only knew what the title was, and I've never read Werewolf by Night, so I know there's like a spin-off called Vampire by Night. So it'd be interesting to see if they expand on that. But I didn't know anything going in, so I was pleasantly surprised by everything I saw here. The cinematography, it perfectly suited. It was what I wanted. I saw somebody commented about, oh, why does the Wolfman look like those classic Wolfman? Why does it look like that? And I'm like, because that's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The crowd that grew up on Underworld, they just don't understand that.
The kids, they don't understand.
Kids, right? So I thought Bernal nailed it. I absolutely loved it. The Man-Thing character as well. I just wanted to have more, but for a special for what we got. Harriet Harris as Verussa. I mean, damn. I love
Yeah.
She every scene she was in, I felt like she stole the scene, and she sucked everything into herself and just
even when she's screaming, and it was kind of odd, like when it's done, when the camera kind of zooms in on her eyes and she's screaming. That was kind of weird, but still she owned that.
I loved it.
She owned it, and she played it in a way that I want to see more of this villain. I want to see more of her, So overall, my complaints are exactly what you would get for something that is this short. It feels too short and too long at the same time. It's a little hard to describe, but it's like I wanted more character development, but I liked the look of these characters, and I liked the cliff notes that we got for everybody. I also felt like they went as far as they could with the horror. I mean, going black and white was a smart choice because you're Marvel, you want to give us horror, but you want to get that PG-13 or that
exactly
rating, So for a horror lover like me, it was like, oh, just give me a little bit more, just go a little bit further. But overall, I absolutely enjoyed this from beginning to end. I could forgive it the flaws because it just feels like the perfect pilot episode, the type of show that makes you want more of this. So I think like if that was what they were trying to do, they succeeded. As Ricardo said, the Marvel proved, listen, we can do something different. We don't, yes, we have a formula, but we can think outside the box and it can work, So overall for me, this is like a 7.5 out of 10. And yes, I want more. I absolutely want more. I hope they delve more into their strict, weirder back catalog of comic stuff that most people wouldn't know much about. So
Yep.
you can build on this on screen without too many people, making a fuss. As Cece said, by now you would think they'd be accustomed that, because Matthew, you said that they're still complaining about the character of Elsa Bloodstone. But this is what I love. I love that I'm getting something unexpected from Marvel. Just when we
Mhm.
thought that, the formula, you know what to expect from them,
Right.
they give you something like this. So it's not, it's like a pie that's been in the oven. It could have been there a little bit longer to be perfect, but it's as close to perfect as you get. And I definitely want to eat at this restaurant again. So seven and a half out of 10 from me.
All right, and last but not least, CC,
Oh
thoughts
yeah.
on Werewolf by Night.
Mad cackling. Oh, I adored this. Here's the thing. My feelings about Marvel this particular year have been like rather complicated because it's a franchise I do like. They're one of the only like Hollywood franchises that I actually have any investment in like follow, right? But this year, a lot of the output has felt, it's not even just like the output has consistently felt weak. It's more that the sheer volume of output has kind of exhausted me. It's made me more aware of a lot of the flaws and problems. So this was a delightful reminder of why I like Marvel in the first place. Like that when they trust creatives to like, well, this and Doctor Strange to the Multiverse of Madness, that definitely feels like it shares some DNA with, like kind of a more old school, fun horror feel. Like it's clearly a tone that Marvel has kind of established that they like and that they are comfortable doing now, where you get the we get horror that has like more of that like delightful vibe to it of like mad cackling, like little more pulpy horror rather than trying to be psychological and like truly scary. It's more like more immediate, visceral, pulpy horror. So no, great reminder of like what Marvel, like why I like Marvel. A great little brilliant debut from a composer now turned director who I am shocked. Like, yeah, he probably had the Bradley Cooper thing where he got to hang out on sets and like take a lot of notes, but like, damn, for a first film, this is impressive. There are established directors I adore who like don't have debuts this good, and that's like maddening, but also like brilliant, and I love it. I agree with what Summer was saying that this definitely feels like the whole thing was kind of built to leave us wanting more in a year where Marvel has just drowned us in stuff. The fact they put out a piece of material that left us wanting more is actually kind of amazing. Like, it's actually quite fantastic that they gave us something that effectively left us going, oh, but I want more of that. Because literally, I think this whole thing would be like, there's enough meat here to be a film, I think. Like, you just need to take this basic idea, make some certain scenes longer, flesh it out just a little bit more, give some of the characters a little more to do, maybe even include some, like, introductory scenes where you see the hunter, and this could be a movie. And it's been so long since I've seen something where my major critique was, you could expand on this and give me more, not you could cut this and give me less, especially with all the miniseries we've been getting. I feel like with a lot of the miniseries, a lot of my feedback has been, you could have tightened this into a film. But instead, my thought was, you could have expanded this into a film.
Yeah.
As a werewolf film, as someone who loves werewolf stuff in general, I love this take on the werewolf. I've been longing to get into the Werewolf by Night comics because like I love werewolves, and the idea of like a Marvel comic series about like a werewolf character has been something that has long appealed to me. But like this is a great telling. Like, I love the idea of like the unassuming one that you wouldn't expect to be a werewolf, especially with that brilliant twist that the monster they're hunting in the labyrinth is poor old Ted. But like,
Oh, I would love to hear your thoughts on Man Thing, by the way. But yeah, continue about the werewolf stuff.
I think Man Thing is such a difficult character to get right because he's so clearly a Swamp Thing knockoff. So you have to decide how to go about that, like whether you're going to like just play him as a Swamp Thing clone and not give a shit, or if you're going to like go in a different direction. I feel like Marvel and DC have been adapting so many of their properties. They've kind of started to run into this problem. It's like, okay, how do you pull off the character who is so obviously a knockoff of this other character? And I feel like the approach a lot of them have taken is to race each other to see who gets to do what first. So like Marvel beats DC out the gate with getting like, so Marvel gets to do Thanos before DC can do Darkseid.
Right.
And that works to their advantage. But then DC beats Marvel out the gate with Aquaman before they can do Namor. And so the response with Namor is to go in a completely different direction as they've done with.
Exactly. Right.
So, and I feel like they've taken this with Man-Thing, where it's like, okay, Swamp Thing is the kind of character that, like, because at this point they've kind of put, like, I think DC at this point, if they do Swamp Thing, and I kind of don't know if they will. I know that a lot of their stuff with J.J. Abrams' production company is falling apart, so I don't know if we're going to get the dark Justice League characters for a while. But I feel like at this point they have no choice but to do Swamp Thing with the, like, either revive the James Wan show, which I heard was quite good, or to kind of go more in the Alan Moore direction with it. But, like, but with Man-Thing, Marvel's kind of decided, okay, we're kind of doing him as, like, the lovable giant that, like, people are. It's very Guillermo del Toro. There's a lot of affection for monsters in this movie, which I quite like. Like, the bad guys and the villains and the real monsters are the monster hunters and the people who take great joy in like, killing creatures rather than, like, the creatures themselves. Like it's interesting foreshadowing that, like, you know, Jack is walking around the monster hunter's lair and looking nervously, and we recognize later that it's nervously if we don't realize he's the werewolf before, but he's looking nervously at all these severed monster heads up on the walls, and you're like, oh shit, as a monster this would be scary to be in a place like this, to be surrounded by, like, dismembered monster parts and people who, like, glorify in that and, like, celebrate that. Pacing is tight, the style just dripping with style and personality. The score is obviously brilliant. I kind of wonder if, like, you know, Michael was playing around with kind of retro horror sounding music and, like, hit upon this idea, like, hey, I could come up with something to go with this. And then Feige was like, do it, let's go. Like, because the score for this sounds like that kind of retro 1940s, 1950s style, like, you know, moody, and then loud and bombastic as far as the music goes. And I had a weird character arc with the werewolf design, because when he first transformed into the werewolf, I was originally like, oh, I don't know, because, like, my favorite werewolf designs are like the Howling, except for those ears. But aside from the ears, I love the Howling werewolf design, and Bad Moon is my other favorite werewolf design. But once I realized this is, like, a smart, updated aesthetic, and it took just, like, a couple minutes for me to realize, oh wait, that's what they're going for. It feels like a smart, updated take of the, like, the Lon Chaney Jr. design, and that I really like Lon Chaney design by way of being a comic book character, essentially, and that was a lot of fun, and, like, especially, like, when he really gets going, because what you forget about the Lon Chaney Jr. design is that because the face isn't like a giant wolf face, what I like about the design, we forget about this, but the thing about the Lon Chaney Jr. werewolf design is that it allows for such an expressive face.
Yeah.
Like, much more expressive than you get if the face is just a great big wolf face. Like, again, I love that design, but if you're looking to try and capture, like, a wider range of facial expressions and to allow more of a performance, it's definitely, like, it allows for that in a really great way. Also, massive props for Marvel for dropping a 40-minute special like this that's mostly practical effects.
Yes.
Like, mostly practical effects and practical sets. It's a really nice breath of fresh air. And Man-Thing is, like, the big obvious exception, but because he's the only thing, it feels like they give him a lot more time and care. So his design is actually, and the CG on him is really good.
Yeah.
But, like, the nice practical feel. The violence is about as harsh as they can get away with, and even then there were moments where I was like, oh wow, you went kind of hard there. I like it. But no, overall, if the design was to leave me wanting more, damn you, Feige, well played. I want more. I need to find out more. I would do a whole series of just Ted and Jack wandering America as like a quirky little buddy road trip story.
Oh, I would love to see that actually. Yeah.
Oh no, that'd be amazing. That'd be freaking fantastic. Just like these two characters just wandering around, getting up to different shenanigans and bailing each other out of different situations is like hilarious. I love it. And then like it gives you the chance to explore this wider world of Marvel monsters. And I'm very excited. Very solid 9 out of 10. My only critique being that it feels very kind of truncated in places. The places that could have been expanded, and instead they went kind of like stuffed in a lot of stuff. Like a lot of like little too much exposition, a little too many dumps of information. But the kind of like Guillermo del Toro, William Castle vibe it had going on was just delightful, like absolutely delightful. And I need more of everyone. I need more of all of this, like all of this. I need more of it immediately. So solid 9 out of 10. Loved this to bit. My favorite little Halloween present from Kevin Feige. Great stuff.
All right, and with that being said, though, I can't wait for this in particular had me really excited for the Guardians Christmas special.
Yes.
I
oh my God.
Right. But it's a shame that we're almost to the middle of this month and we haven't gotten a trailer and we haven't gotten a release date. Like I want to know when this thing is coming out, yo.
Well, I'm genuinely shocked that we're so close to Black Panther and we haven't gotten a Guardians 3 trailer. It's finished. Right. They showed it at Comic-Con, but
right.
They haven't.
I know. Yeah, I know. They just kind of holding the sleeve with a bunch of trailers because
yes,
I saw the leaked Loki trailer and the leaked Ant-Man 3 trailer. They both look great. So, and I was surprised that we didn't get that by now. No, like whatever.
Well, because and I know that Marvel's strategy is you go.
Sorry, no, I was just saying now they're probably waiting to release one of them at least when Black Panther comes out.
Yeah,
right.
I was about to say, yeah, Marvel's go-to strategy seems to be you go to see a Marvel movie and there's a trailer for another Marvel movie playing. So I'm definitely sure that, and I think Guardians is the next film we're getting after Black Panther. So I think it comes out in May of next year, if I'm not mistaken. Guardians Volume 3.
Either that or it's not Ant-Man 3 coming out. I'm sure. I had to look it up.
I can't remember.
Because Black Panther is November, and I don't know if there's going to be another. I mean, there's going to be the holiday special, obviously, and I think there's a couple different streaming shows, but I don't know as far as movies go. If there's
February next year.
Which one's February?
Ant-Man 3.
Ant-Man. Sorry.
Oh, so we're getting it. Okay, so we're probably going to get Ant-Man 3 trailer before we get the Guardians 3 trailer. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, no, I need them to start dropping trailers already.
Mm-hmm.
I know, right? I know.
And yeah, that Guardians holiday special, because like I know that's gonna be hilarious. I'm already just thinking. Every time I think about it, I smile. I know it's going to be hilarious already. Just give it to me.
Yeah,
I know. just bring it out as soon as, man.